I would like to read out the first question. I come very often, but want to thank you and Leigh for repeating the meditation instructions and find it helps to remind me how to do it. And I seem to pick up more tips that have allowed me to get better with my meditation practice. Yeah, it's worth repeating it again and again. Every morning before we start meditation in here on Saturday, we repeat very briefly the 3 A's of meditation. And I think it's easy to remember. If you remember the 3 A's of meditation, then it's easy to know how to do it. The 3 A's of meditation, you still remember the 3 A's of meditation? A stands for adjustments. How do you adjust yourself? Adjustment of your body, adjustment of the breath, and adjustment of mind. Why do we have to adjust the body? Because when we are in meditation, we have sitting meditation, we have walking meditation, and sometimes, in some circumstances, we also have reclining meditation. Do you see that reclining Buddha just next to you? That is reclining meditation. And some people call the sleeping Buddha. He's not sleeping. He's not dozing away in drowsiness. He's not dozing away in oblivion. When you're in oblivion, you're in a state of being torpor, feel sluggish, and you don't know what you're doing. You seem to be sleepy. But that reclining position is a meditative reclining position. So, it's worth repeating how you adjust your body, how you cross the leg, half lotus, full lotus, how do you adjust the shoulders, how do you relax yourself from the top to the bottom, from the top of your head, the crown chakra, they call it, to the very bottom of your feet. So it's good to mention that all the time. Adjustment of the body and adjustment of the breath. Breath is very important. But the breath comes to you so spontaneously that you don't realize its value. Actually, we humans, we sentient beings, do not realize our own values until we lose them. Do you realize your own value now? I still remember, and I like to repeat it again. Helen Keller said, he had a friend came back from the woods in the forest, and Helen asked, you know who Helen Keller is? Helen Keller was the lady who was blind, who was deaf, who was mute. No senses of seeing, no sense of listening, no senses of talking. Only sense of smell. If you are an individual living without these 3 senses, what would you do? That will bring up another question later. If you're a human being, if you are a being that is living without the sense of seeing, the sense of listening, the sense of talking, is it worth? Some people may consider committing suicide because this world is without senses. But Helen Keller continued to survive through thick and thin, struggle, and she became one of the most successful writer, one of the most successful orator and philosopher, and I think is one of the creators of the Braille systems for the blind. She achieved a lot. She inspired a lot of people. And she lived up to more than 60 years old. And she wrote an article. The reason why I repeat it again, probably people will get bored by me repeating all these things. Are you get bored with repeating? No, not a bit bored. Helen Keller wrote an article. It's called, Give Me 3 Days of Light. If the providence somehow gave me the ability to see for 3 days, just for 3 days to see, I would do this in my first day, do this in my second day, do this in my third day. And getting back to this question, do you value what you've got? You got your eyesight, you got your listening faculties, you got your talking faculties. Have you ever attached any values to what you've got? And Helen Keller said, usually people don't realize the inherent values they have until they lose them. It will be too late. And he wrote an article to inspire people. He said, I had a friend coming back from the woods, getting a stroll in the wood in the spring rain, you know. And then I asked her, what do you see in the woods? And she said, well, nothing in particular. Nothing in particular, Helen Keller wrote. I could never imagine people with eyesight coming back from a scenic stroll of a nature trail, coming back with nothing in particular to say. Listen to the birds, the birch, the pine, the willows, the grass, the flowers, the petals, the bumblebees. Don't get stung by them though. Yeah. And all these and all these. How can you have walked into the woods and not appreciating all these values? How could you have done that? Because we don't appreciate them, we take them for granted. You got your eyesight, value your eyesight. You got your tongue, you can speak, you can talk. And what is the most important? You're in good health. When you're in good health, what should you do? When you're in good health, write out more invitation cards for partying, calling up on Thanksgiving Day, put your knife and fork in the poor turkey and cut, woo, 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 and cut it and put it in your mouth to get a delicious taste of the taste buds. When you have your senses, what would you do? When you're in good health, do you appreciate your good health and use your good health to achieve something, to learn something, to go on to this spiritual odyssey, this spiritual uplift, elevation? What was the Buddha talking about in the spiritual life? What was the Buddha talking about in uplifting a person's life in pursuit of enlightenment? How to enlighten oneself? Or how do you help others? How do you learn to be more compassionate? How do you be more creative? How do you be more creative to contribute to society? Or how do you better yourself to contribute more to the society? Not always looking about acquiring material, acquisitions, wealth, money, mention. Where do you use your value? How do you contribute your values for better ends? So value what you've got. When you're in good health, what do? You go partying. Write out more invitations to go to a party. You have dancing party, you have invitations on wedding nights, you have invitation on Thanksgiving party, you have invitation to go on tours, and Alaskan tours, Hawaiian tours, California. Oh, you get it. Oh, every time is sensual pleasure enjoyment. Essential pleasure of uplifting sensual pleasures. Have you ever thought of coming to the temple of meditation? Yes, you did that today. And in the morning, I always wanted to say something. I said, good morning, everybody. Today is raining on a Saturday morning before Thanksgiving. That's the reason why you come here? You have nothing else to do. That's why you come for meditation. Oh, you wake up in the morning and say, raining, raining, raining. Where would I go? I can't go to Starbucks. I can't go to White Spot. I can't visit any friends. Why don't I just come to that boring meditation and just sit in there and see what has to be done? What do they teach? Appreciate what you've got. You have good health and you don't appreciate it. You use your health for more partying, for more enjoyment. The time will come where you say it's too late. When you're lying on a hospital bed, paralyzed, and you have this dripping into your veins, you couldn't do anything. And we have seen patients who's hospitalized in a bed for years. Breakfast is a bottle of dripping, lunch is another bottle, and dinner is another bottle. Every breakfast, lunch, and dinner is liquid. What do they enjoy? What would he do had he realized the value when he was in good health to learn about how to get away from life and death, how to go to the spiritual level? But some people said, yeah, If I have to die, that's what I prefer, because you could die in an instant of a second. Boom, no more palpitation. And some may not be as fortunate. They struggle with the last breath for months in the hospital. You know, the feelings of the family members when they know one of the family members had a sickness that is incurable, and the months left is only about 2 months, 3 months. I don't know the feeling would be to lengthen those 3 months or to shorten those 3 months. Lengthening it would mean agony for the patients, and shortening it would mean sudden agony and grief for the families. Oh, it's a very difficult thing to deal with. Remember, when you are in good health, practice, practice, practice. Know more about the Buddhist teaching. Don't go into the next round of life and death anymore. Read that article, Give Me 3 Days of Light. If you read the article, you know what Helen Keller would like to see in those 3 days, the first day? She would like to go to the woods to see nature in the first day. In the second day, as far as I can remember, to go into a museum where you can touch all these sculptures and feel the silky feeling of all these embroideries. All this is just phenomena. Phenomena is temporal, it's fleeting. Phenomena is fictitious. Get onto the reality, get onto something real. Enlightenment, Nirvana. Nirvana means no more, no more left. What is no more left? No more left of life and death, no more life and death. No more coming and going. No more mental afflictions. It's purity. It's up to that purity, we don't know how to call it. Extinction. Extinction of mental afflictions. What are you watching in meditation? You're watching your own life. You're watching your own breath, because your own breath, your own life, you're inside. You're being an introvert, watching inside of you, your mind, a self-watching of your own mind. When you're watching a movie, you're watching extrovert. You're working in somebody else's creation. Why don't you watch your own movie created inside of you, your own script, not somebody else's script? It's completely joyful. As when you watch more and more and more, you'll find the joy of going introvert into your mind and explore that and open that door of treasure of your own mind. You're watching the television, and after 2 hours, the television is watching you because you're sleeping. They, in the television, is watching you. It's just the opposite. What an irony. So, I guess that's it for the first question. No more rambling. Next question, what happens to your spirit if you take your own life? That means if you commit suicide, what happened to your spirit? If you're committing suicide, it's equivalent to killing, because you kill yourself. When you kill yourself, it's the same as killing a body. When you kill yourself, you committed killing, the sin or the wrongdoing of killing. You're not only killing yourself, you're adding a lot, you're involving in a lot of ignorance in the killing. Because I can see if you get mad at someone, you kill someone because of madness. But if you're killing yourself, that means you're mad at yourself. And when you're mad at yourself, then that madness is the inside of you. When that anger is expressed in murder, in homicide, you express the anger. And you can see that expression. When you're killing yourself with the hidden anger in you, that anger is multifold in you, because that's all hidden in the seats of your memory. If you explore in the book, the Tibetan book of Dying and Living, you know more about the effect of taking your own life, the effect of committing suicide. Because you haven't ended your karma, you have to come back again to serve your karma. It's just like you serve a sentence and you haven't finished it, then you come back again to serve it. Because you haven't served your karma in this life and you ended it abruptly, then you have to come back to serve it again. Oh, actually, there's a question. What is Nirvana? There's such a question, so I already answered it. Nirvana. Can you attain Nirvana without first attaining Prajnaparamita? You take Nirvana and Prajnaparamita as two different things. Remember, Nirvana is not a location. Nirvana is not a place. I enter into Nirvana. Some people's imagination is, oh, maybe it's a paradise, or maybe it's a cave in which the door is open for you, and doom, you enter into that cave, and that cave will lead you to happiness. It's not a location. Nirvana is not a location. Then what is Nirvana? In order to answer that question, we have to know why we say that Nirvana is not a location. Anything that has a location has a form, right? Anything that has a location, it must have a form. If you don't have a form, how can you have location? Where is that temple located? Oh, on Stevenston Highway, 9160, between number 3 and number 4, that temple is a form. It's made up of elements. When there's a location, there is a form. But all form is form on causality. All form is all causes to put together. All form does not have its own real nature. It's all put together and become a form. When it's integrated, there's no form. So that form has no nature of its own. It's impermanent. It's based on causations. So it's not permanently or realistically exist. It only exists in your imagination. It only exists in phenomena, not exist in form. So if Nirvana is a form, Nirvana is a location, then Nirvana is not enlightenment because you still have a form. Nirvana is not a location. But you may ask, how about the Pure Land? Amitabha's Pure Land? That we can be reborn to, is that a location? Yes, it is a location. It's an intermediate state where Amitabha Buddha gave you a location to study. When you graduate from that location, you are in no form. You don't attach to form anymore. It only gives you an expedient university to study where you enter into Nirvana. Nirvana is extinction. Can you attain Nirvana without first attaining Prajnaparamita? Nirvana and Prajnaparamita is one and the same thing. Prajnaparamita in its higher form, in its ultimate form, is Nirvana. And Nirvana in its foundation, in its root, is Prajnaparamita. I don't know if I can give you an example, but that example will not be the most appropriate, but I still can use it. If your destination, that's just an example, if the destination is Victoria, you take a Nanaimo cruise, boat to Victoria, and that boat, that route is Prajnaparamita. It carries you, that boat carries you all the way. Prajnaparamita, that's the tool, that's the technique. Carry you all to Nirvana. To Nirvana is that dock in Victoria. When that dock is in Victoria, when that boat is in Victoria, that boat is Victoria, is in Victoria, is not in Nanaimo anymore. So that boat is there. So that boat arrives in there, and you say, okay, that boat, what is it? It's in Victoria. So Prajna is that boat that arrives into Nirvana, and they're the same thing. It's one and the same thing. It landed in Victoria. So what is Prajnaparamita? You probably have missed the first 5 lessons in our lecture. Pra means the utmost. Prajna is the utmost understanding, the most enlightened understanding. That's Prajna. Or if you want to put it, wisdom, the utmost wisdom. And Paramita is arriving at, from one shore to the other, arriving at that utmost complete understanding. So the method arriving from that shore of confusion to that shore of wisdom. This is the technique, this is the practice that will bring you from this shore of confusion, of suffering, to that shore of enlightenment and happiness. That's Paramita, carrying you to that shore. And Prajna is the wisdom involved in the process of carrying you over there. You have achieved that. You have that prajna to carry you from the shore of confusion, suffering, to the shore of nirvana, of enlightenment. Right, yeah?
No question, just want to sincerely thank you for all the talks and lectures and advice you've given over the lunch.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what we should do in the practice of the Bodhisattva approach of enlightenment. And we learn compassion, and compassion is unconditional giving. We always give out unconditionally of what we know. We don't retain anything. We don't retain any magic or secret formulas. I always told the cook in the kitchen, Ming, I said, have you got a recipe for the dessert that you have finished? Oh, no. If I give it to, if I teach all these other people, then they will be a chef. So if everybody was a chef, then who will be the follower? Who's going to wash dishes? If everybody is a chef. So now he's educated and said, no, it's unconditional giving. The more, if you teach people more, then in the process of teaching, you're also teaching yourself. I always say that when I give a lecture, I learn a lot from my own lecture. And I'm actually lecturing to myself. I'm teaching myself at the same time. So being a teacher actually teaches the teacher, himself. And I find a lot of improvement in giving it out, because the more you give out, the more it bounces back. And our intention is not wanting the bounce back. The bounce back is spontaneous, it's natural. But you just give. You just give and give and give, and don't worry about whether it will bounce back to you or not. You just give it out. The more you give out, the more it would geometrically extends to all. When it extends to all, then the whole world will be in purity. In North America, we still have to learn how to give out more. I came from the East. I came from Hong Kong 40-something years ago. And I find that somehow, maybe it's because of Confucian moral code and the Buddhist teaching, and plus a lot of other teachings, the Asian culture, they particularly love to give. So in other words, they like to donate, they like to give. This temple has been donated by 95% by Asians. They just want to give unconditionally. They just want to donate. If it's for a good cause, they donate, and they donate. And that's the Eastern culture of giving. They like to give out. The North American culture are slowly picking it up. But still, it's a little slow. Saying this does not mean that I discriminate. This culture is better than that. There are a lot of good features in North American culture that the Eastern culture don't have. And sometimes I'm amazed at the disparity. For example, public courtesy. You will find that the North American culture has a high level of public courtesy than the East Asian culture. And that's the reason why when you were driving on the highway, on the road, and when you see this honking, 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 do you know how to drive? That could be from an Eastern culture. Or if they bypass you without signaling, that could be from an Eastern culture. That could be. I said, not definitely. Yeah. Now, I'm not ruling out 100% of generous donors in North America. Look at Bill Gates. Donated tremendous amount of money. Warren Buffett, not buffet. Warren Buffett. I always hesitate when I say Warren Buffett, not buffet. Always giving. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was ordained for a month as a monk in Thailand. Do you know that? He went to Thailand to become a monk for a month. He wanted to become a monk, but later he went back to do his computer. And there are many people like that. And if you go to Thailand, you can be a monk or a nun. I don't know if you can be a monk. Yeah, you still can be you can be a nun for a month, for a couple of months, to get into the forest tradition, how they go in arms around, how they meditate, how they got bitten by mosquitoes in the forest, and all that you can experience. How do they experience hardship in their practice? You can enjoy all that monastic life in a month, for a month, or for 2 months. So I don't mean that the Western, the North American culture is non-generous, but it appears so, that there's more giving. Remember, the more you give out, the more you get in return. Always give. When you die, what can you bring with you? You leave all your estates to your children? Why don't you leave all your estates for charity? There's no point in giving to your children, because if your children always depend and think about your estates, when you get your estate, he's going to squander it away. Use your estate, donate it for good causes, and dedicate back to the well-being of your own children. Don't leave money only to your children. Yes?
I was just going to say that a friend of mine once said to me about giving in a sense, but he said, do you want to be the richest man in the graveyard?
In the graveyard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Because do you really want to leave it all and have it there at the end, or do you want to give it away while you're alive, and make some goodness out of it rather than hoarding it yourself?
Yeah, you know, nobody wants to be the richest man in the graveyard. Yeah, so the richest man in the graveyard enjoy nothing. Yeah, and what we also would, yeah, you have a question there?
I'm just wondering, should you meditate when you're upset, or should you wait?
But if you are really angry, then you are the subjective, and you're being angry at an object, okay? And why don't you step back and say, I'm John, and I'm angry at John. You step back, you don't want to be John. Why is he angry? Where does the anger come from? Oh, the anger comes from jealousy. The anger is from you have a reason for it. No, he shouldn't be angry, because he shouldn't be influenced by jealousy. And don't get carried away by your emotion. It's difficult. It's extremely difficult not to be carried away by your interaction with the object. Your subject, not carried away by the object, but at least you hesitate and pause and start to contemplate and watch yourself. Because when you first interact, of course, you feel angry, you feel upset, you feel grief-stricken, you feel sorrowful. But then you can step back and say, where does the thought come from? How does it originate? And you analyze it and you say, I shouldn't be like that. So you step back, and then you calm yourself down, and then you're actually doing meditation. You are doing the meditation when you step back. Meditation is not just in closing your eyes and cross your leg. Meditation on the spot right away, when you're not being carried away by that anger, by that jealousy, by that grief, you're already meditating. You're meditating with your eyes open, you're meditating with wisdom. And that's very important. Just don't get carried away. Be the mountain that is not movable, and let the clouds drift by. Don't get carried away by the clouds.
When coming here and learning Buddhism, it's given me tremendous skills to deal with the life issues.
Oh, that's good. So you're actually knowing how to step back and analyze it. That would be good. That's good. So that's what we're doing. I think that benefit is being enjoyed by all of us who come here. And we have, I think over the years, we have thousands of people, right? We have thousands of people coming. Unfortunately, some come and go. Some come for a few sessions, they are gone. But then they already have germinated some good seeds in their mind that would not be erasable. I mean, they would carry that good seeds and go on and on and on. But we want to do the spreading. We want to propagate these seeds so that everybody will enjoy purity and tranquility. We are spreading out these good seeds of compassion and enlightenment. And also the good thing about coming together to talk about these things is the way I'm talking, I'm giving it to you, and everybody know about these things, and you're giving it out to others, and others are giving it out. You're working in the geometrical dimensions, which is good. So you are coming as a group, your energy bounces back to me. Say, if you're standing up and telling us your feedback or your reaction, you're actually reinforcing everybody in here. You are giving the energy without you knowing it. You're giving the energy equivalent to what the Buddha is giving out. You're giving out with your wholehearted compassion, saying what you want to say, but actually you're radiating out your positive energy to everybody and encouraging everybody to learn. So you are actually teaching the Dharma right there at where you are standing. And if you are a supporter of all these, you're also teaching the Dharma. You're not supporting any other things now, you're supporting the Buddha's teaching. So energy is bouncing everywhere. If there's one thing that we learned today, if I summarize into just one sentence, is attach value to yourself and to now. Use that value properly, in the right way. Don't slipping away. Don't spend that valuable time into partying, into doing something that is not related to enlightenment.